Hello, guys, and welcome to Market Insider on CS Live with Dignity Gold here. This is the president, Steve Braverman. I hope I said that correctly, Steve. Braverman,
Perfectly.
yeah. I just quickly introduce myself. I'm the regional manager for Coinstore, and Steve is based out in Los Angeles, so he's really late over there, and we're quite early over here, so it's all over the place. So I'm happy to bring you on board, and we've got some information to go through, and hopefully we'll get some a great insight on Dignity Gold.
I'm very happy to be here. This actually is the first time that I've ever done an AMA.
Okay.
So I'm really excited, and let's go for it.
Awesome. Well, we're in the same boat. This is the first time I've done an AMA, so I think this is going to be fun.
Terrific.
Awesome. Just so we can get some idea of Dignity Gold, I'm just gonna give you guys some information on Steve's background, and a bit of information on Dignity Gold. But we're going and elaborate after that a bit more, if that's okay. So Steve brings in Dignity Gold, or sorry, Dignity Holdings LLC. So he more than 30 years he has experience in securities trading and investment management over his professional career. Stephen has acquired vast wealth of knowledge and experience in securities trading, investment management, and which he now channels success of Dignity Gold and Dignity Holdings LLC. So Steve, you've been around in the industry with the stock exchange and things like this. Just give us a brief background of yourself, if that's okay.
Sure. So I am a 30-plus year veteran of Wall Street. I was one of the largest, if not the largest, market maker in the world in the 90s. I ran Knight Trimark Securities, which became Knight Capital Group. And so getting into this space was kind of natural for me. In 2017, I started, watching Bitcoin and the trading of it was right at the beginning of the ICO craze. And, it took me back to the 90s of stock trading, because it was just really an exciting time to get involved in it. And for me, it was just trading. It was just going in, waking up in the morning. I was really excited to wake up in the morning, turn on the machines, and get to work. So it was just so much fun, because it was like today's stock market is a little bit different, because the spreads are so they're so small, and it's not high volatility, and it's much tougher to make money in the stock market than it was in the ICO craze of 2017. So it was really exciting to trade crypto at that time. So that's how I got started in it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think during that period, I think a lot of people, seen the opportunity of trading in that type of industry. So, it's exciting stuff, and I think we've got plenty more years to go ahead of this excitement.
No question about it.
Yeah, exactly. So in regards to Dignity Gold LLC, okay. Tell us a bit about Dignity Gold LLC. What is it about? How have you connected Dignity Gold LLC with Dignity Gold token, and what is the whole package?
Very broad question, but simply because of my background on Wall Street, when I was involved in the crypto space in 2017 and saw how it was, it was going, to me, it was more than obvious that at some point the regulators were going to come down and say, hello, you cannot be doing what you're doing. I mean, it was just obvious. That's just, they're generally, and I hate to say this, I don't want to upset them, but they're generally, 7 to 9 years behind the curve. So when Bitcoin started in 2011 or whatever it did, it took them a long time to get involved. But I knew it was going to happen. So when, Ken Swig and I got involved with the previous company, Arbitrade, we knew that it was, we had to get, compliant. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. It didn't happen with them, and Kent and I moved on and created Dignity Gold. So what we have done, and it's taken a very long time, we brought in an investment bank, and at the time it was the only licensed for blockchain investment bank in the country, which is Tritorian Capital. And we brought in some really top-notch accounting firms that I unfortunately can't talk about right now of who they are, but I can tell you that they're very, very well known. And these accounting firms are doing our audited financials. They're doing our valuations on our assets. But bottom line was that I felt that this industry was going to be regulated, that most of the tokens out there are securities. There's no question about it. And most of them don't have anything, tangible behind it. So Kent and I said, okay, we're going to do it the exact opposite of everybody else out there. We're going to create a company that has, corporate structure and, and real assets behind us. The original iteration was, to start with an SKR for $10 billion worth of gold. Unfortunately, that iteration, fell apart because of COVID. We wanted to do a full audit on the gold that was behind the SKR, and that gold was in Switzerland and other European countries in their vaults, and traveling to Europe was just not going to happen, and eventually it just became a major problem. So we had to kind of make a left turn and decided to get involved in the U.S. market, and we kind of got lucky and stepped in it, and some people came to me and said, we have these assets in mines, and they're in-ground assets and in-ground tail and above ground tailings, and there are billions of dollars in precious metals. And I just said, what, that fits. We can do that. So we sat down, we made an agreement, and did what was called a forward purchase agreement with the first company called Apache Mill Tailings. And we also, in that forward purchase agreement, we made a deal to put liens and UCCs on all of their assets. So they owned, I think, like 5 or 6 mines here in the United States, in Nevada and Arizona. And so we had this forward purchase agreement, which is us buying gold from them. And we had, liens on all of their properties. Unfortunately, they didn't live up to their end of our agreements. So we had to foreclose. And we just finished with the foreclosure in May. On May 17th, we foreclosed on all of their properties. And now we, as a company, Dignity Gold LLC, currently, own all of their assets. And that would be Panguitch 1, 2, 3, and 4, and Johnny Bull and Silver Knight. And there are other assets that we have liens on that we're considering finalizing the purchases of. And but it'll add to our portfolio of mines and in ground and above ground, assets.
Okay.
So, it just made sense to me and to Kent to have this type of a company because it's fully regulated,
Hmm.
fully compliant, and asset backed. So everything is tangible and safe. And of course, we're using the blockchain. So there's transparency. So it just made perfect sense for us to go about it this way.
That's it. I think, for security tokens, this is the one of the first on Coinstore, but for security tokens, I think that is the future. From our analysis, I know we see it a lot that there's 20, 30,000 different types of various cryptocurrencies, but security tokens are regulated, going through the whole process, and it's a safer investment for most people. So I find it really interesting, you utilizing the gold side of things to back it as the asset, the token. So it's
Right. Well,
very,
listen, gold is just the beginning. Gold
yeah.
is just the first token of many. I mean, we have significant assets in our mines, and we have every intention of doing a silver token, a platinum token, palladium, copper, whatever assets we can get out of the ground, we're going to do a token for.
That's amazing. There's the whole thing with silver, palladium, platinum, all of that stuff. It's a massive opportunity. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Dignity Gold Holdings to increase the sites and different metal backed assets. That would be really, really awesome to see. I think in the next 24 months we'll be seeing some great opportunities for these side of things. So I just want to go through a couple of things. So there are some questions on here. So are you a global project or a local project? Like at present, which market are you focusing on? And what is the focus on building to grow potential investors?
So that's an interesting question. We are a local market in the fact that our mines are here in the United States. So we're
Okay.
local to the United States for our actual operations. We are based in the United States. Our attorneys are here in the United States. Our accountants are here in the United States. Our mines, our assets, we're all here.
Okay.
However, because of the tokenized Dig AU, we're a global company. I mean, our reach is global, our token is global, and so I expect the answer is we're definitely a global company.
Right.
Do we intend on mining assets in other countries? Probably not for the first 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Certainly.
Is there a reason for that? Is it?
Plenty of so we're in a really good position here in the United States because our sweet spot is the mid-size mine. So, and what I mean by that is, the Newmont mining, Barrick mining, the big boys. These particular mines are too small for them, and the really small mines, the ones that you see on TV, they're our sweet spot is too big for the small guys and too small for the big guys. So
Right.
we're taking on a lot of the mid-sized mines, and
Right.
Fortunately for us, they're too expensive for a lot of people to get involved, with purchasing the mines and upgrading the facilities, in order to have an eco-friendly way of mining and getting the gold out of the ground, And like I said, for the big companies, they're just not interested because, you know, there's just not enough assets for them, or it's just not worth building their plants, their facilities. You know, they do things a lot differently and not nearly as eco-friendly.
Okay. So, you guys are really looking towards that sustainability model, I guess, making sure this is a long lasting type of business, rather than short driven.
Right. Of course. I mean, listen, from just the mines that we own right now, there is 12 to 15 year life of mines worth of assets on these mines. So,
Wow.
so if we have, so but what that's saying is, if we have facilities on all 6 mines and they were, going, 20 hours a day, which is, basically how they run at these facilities, we would be going nonstop, 6 to 7 days a week for 12 to 15 years before we run out of materials.
Right.
And here in the United States, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of mid-sized mines that are not operational, that we can and will go after, to get involved and become owners of.
Okay.
So our growth is, our growth potential is really incredible. It's not just, so our token right now is backed by a pledge of $6 billion in gold reserves, but just on the 6 mines alone that we have, there's probably 10 to 10x the amount of gold there. So there's an incredible amount of profit potential just on the mines that we have, and that's not including all the other assets that are in the ground.
That's really interesting. That is one of the cool things about Dignity Gold is the fact that you do own the mines, and the opportunity is huge. One thing that came into my mind, I think a lot of the community would like to understand as well, is what is the benefit of a security token compared to any other token? Like, a lot of people might not understand. So it'll be very good if you could explain that to the community.
Yeah, I mean, that's really a great question, and my answer may upset some of the crypto people, but it should make the institutional type investors very happy. We are a security token, which basically means that we are filing, all of our documents and becoming a reporting company with the SEC. So we're telling the world everything that we're doing. We're being fully transparent. We have broker dealers behind us that are licensed, that have rules and regulations, which means we have rules and regulations that we have to abide by, when it comes to trading, when it comes to, showing our documentation and our numbers. We have to obey rules. A lot of these other, crypto companies don't. There are no rules. So we wanted to be, more compliant, because we have real assets and too much to lose by going the crypto route. I don't want to be a crypto. I don't want to, I don't want to have that. I want to be able to sleep at night. So that's why we chose to do this. And obviously my background of being on Wall Street, it just made sense to me, because I know how the regulators work. I owned a broker dealer. I ran 9 Capital Group. I've been working on the buy side at hedge funds. So, I know how it works. So that's why we chose to go in this direction. The beautiful thing about what we're doing is it's also a token traded on the blockchain. So you have access to it 24/7, 365. You could very easily transfer it to a friend if you need to. So, it has all of the positives of crypto, with a lot less of the negatives and the downside. And in particular, our token is what we call an advanced digital security token. And what we mean by that is we have positive control So we built in some features into the token that if for example, if you have a problem with an exchange and somebody hacks an exchange and takes your tokens, we have the ability to retrieve those tokens and replace them, burn the old tokens and replace them back into your private wallet. So, I think that's a really important part of what we have and what we do. If there's a problem with a particular network, we can freeze our entire network and find out what the problem is and stop people from taking advantage or stealing something or something like that. So positive control is really, really important. That one of the things about the crypto markets today is, if you send your tokens to the wrong place, it's over, done, period, end of story. You lost your money. With us, that's not going to happen. With us, something like that occurs. You send us an email, you hit up our chat, which will eventually be on our website, and say, I just sent tokens to this wallet and it was a mistake. We can freeze it and do some checking before we allow the transaction to finalize. I can't hear you. Tahar, I cannot hear anything you're saying at the moment. I apologize.
And we're back again. Apologies for that, guys. I think I had some technical issues on my side. Don't know what was happening, but we're here. We're back. Sorry about that, Steve.
Not a problem.
Right. Where were we? We were talking about something really interesting there. The security token part. So, the beauty of security tokens, in regards to it's I guess a safer option. I guess we can treat it like a stock.
Correct.
Would you say that?
It's exactly like a stock, but it's traded on the blockchain.
Got it. Got it. And that's I think that's one of the things about the world of blockchain, and utilizing real world assets into the blockchain, where people can invest into. With the current market, sometimes it's very challenging to see where what is going to be actually happening into the speculative market. This is more of a real asset type of side of things. So I guess people will be a bit more you're going to have to file all this information about the company. People can view the details of what you've filed, and I think that's very, very attractive for a lot of people, so which is really interesting.
Right. And it's been frustrating for a lot of people who follow us, or that want to invest, or have been involved in the old company that we have brought over to us.
Uh-huh.
Um, that it's hard for us to communicate with them the way they want us to, because we're not a crypto, and we can't just say anything we want to say.
Yeah.
There are rules involved, and FINRA and the SEC are watching everything we do. I mean, and that's, so we have to be very, very careful what we do, what we say, and, because there are, there are rules, and and I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with obeying them. But, it's a learning curve for the crypto enthusiast that wants to be involved with us.
Yeah, and I think people will pick that up, though. I think where this is only the beginning stage, and it's fantastic that you've taken a step to get to this point, especially being on exchange, but at the same time, following the rules, and hopefully people will understand the rules over time when they kind of like um overthink, stop overthinking what this actually is. It's actually very simple. How you explained it, it's actually very simple. It is a stock that's on a blockchain, and hopefully people will be more interested on Dignity Holdings and what they're actually doing, and the value of Dignity Holdings. So what saying that, what are the advantages, the competitive advantages of the project?
I think simply the fact that we have significant amounts of real assets behind us.
Yeah.
That's we are tokenizing real assets. Simple, end of story.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And the real incredible advantage is that there are so many mines here in the United States that we can go and attach ourselves to and get gold and silver and anything else out of the ground and put in the vault, or sell to the open market, and pay dividends to our holders. So yeah, there's an incredible amount of opportunity here in the
Yeah.
United States.
So do holders of Dignity, so Dig AU, do they get dividends?
They will.
Mhm.
The way the token is set up, um, the holders of the Dig AU receive a minimum of 15% of our profits on a quarterly basis. So
Fantastic.
yes.
That's really impressive. Not a lot of projects allow that, but that's a even in the stock market side of things, that's a big chunk of dividends. That's
Yeah, I mean it's a totally different situation. I mean, we're not exactly a stock,
yeah,
but we wanted to create real value, and I think that a minimum of 15% is a really good number.
yeah. It's a great number. It's a great
Right.
number. Okay. Here's a a question for you, right? So if you could go back to day one, right? Is there anything you've done you would have done differently by
Absolutely
starting?
not.
Absolutely nothing. That's good.
Nope.
No regrets.
No regrets. Listen, there have been significant ups and downs,
Yeah,
significant, issues with the communities and people, and but it was all a learning experience, and I wouldn't change a thing. I would not change a thing. It's making every day of our success even more sweet.
that's a good way of putting it. That's a good way of putting it. Okay, that's good. I think you're right. If you hadn't gone through the process, you wouldn't be where you are, right?
Right.
So, and that's the beauty of starting something and going through the ups and downs and learning from those ups and downs. So no, that's good.
Yeah, and I've met some really incredible people at the same time, and and the people that I work with are really, really special. I mean, we have some really good people
Yeah.
that work for and with the company, and it's a really exciting time for all of us right now.
So just briefly explain to me about the team that you have. So we all can kind of go on the website, but you have a big portfolio of an amazing advisors for Dignity Holdings. So tell us a little bit about that. You don't have to go through every single person, but
Right. Well, the one person that I will give the most praise to is Ira Glasser. He is our basically, I think you can call him a captain. He
right?
understands every part of what we're doing. He's really important, and I love having him on the team. He is one of our executives. The board of advisors, I think, is second to none in the entire space. Obviously chaired by Kent Swig, who's a real estate developer in Manhattan and San Francisco, and I'm sure many of you know his name and his family background. But
Yeah,
there's more. We have some really, really special people in the VC sector, in hedge fund managers. Um, you know, I think that we have a very, very special board of advisors, and it's great to have them, advising me on, all the things that they are experts on that I'm not, and that's really
yeah.
important.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing you got all those guys together, kind of, advising Dignity Holdings. And I think that's a key thing about starting a project is you do get advice from people that you might not be an expert in, and open to their ideas and opinions to help you grow the business. So that's a really great thing that you've done that. And for the guys who've not been on the website, go check them out, and you can see the team and the board of advisors. It's a amazing team. So I want to go through some of the questions the community have asked,
Sure.
and I think it'd be good to answer some of them. So I don't have the handles, unfortunately, but I've got the questions. Okay, so first question. How does Dignity Gold handle the storage and safekeeping of physical gold reserves that back the Dig AU token? Are there any contingency plans in case of natural disasters or unforeseen events? If any.
Uh, so the bottom line is that a lot of that information will be found on the website.
Mhm.
Um, we are our assets are in tailings and below ground, and we have facilities, and we have to start taking them out of the ground, and that's what we're doing. Um,
Mhm.
so we don't have a vault yet, and we don't need a vault yet. We're once we begin the process of actual mining, that's when we'll set up our vaulting situation, and that information will all be on our website. It'll be insured, it'll be vaulted,
Mhm.
and I don't think that natural disasters are really terribly important to worry about in the Arizona or Nevada deserts.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
there aren't too many hurricanes or tornadoes or nor'easters or anything like that. So yeah.
Okay. And in regards to the mining side of things, when do you expect to start mining? Is there an idea of a timeline?
I don't want to give specifics because unfortunately, because we're a security token,
Yep.
something like that has to be announced publicly
Okay.
to everybody. So I can't tell anybody now when it's going to happen, but
Okay.
I can just say we have been moving very, very quickly, and we're very excited about the near future.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. So there's a second question here. So marketing is central element for every project, so that everyone knows the potential that a project can bring is vital to achieve it goal sets. What is your strategy to attract new users and investors to your platform to keep them long term? So I think this is a bit of a challenging question, because obviously being a security, there's only so much that you can do to kind of advertise a token, but you're not really allowed to advertise a token. But dignity
Not at
holding,
all.
dignity holding is a whole different thing, right?
Well, it's not Dignity Hold. Dignity Gold is the company. Dignity Gold LLC
Okay.
is the
Okay.
company.
So
So what we are allowed to do is tell people about our brand and explain our brand and show our website and so on.
right.
And one of the things that we are doing to tell people about our brand is we are sponsoring a NASCAR team.
Amazing.
Last summer we sponsored a NASCAR team in Brazil. It was very successful. We had a great season, and now we're sponsoring a NASCAR team here in the United States, and we expect our first race to be at the end of July, early August. And listen, as far as marketing our brand, there's nothing better. I mean, NASCAR is the most popular sport, I believe, in the world, besides maybe soccer. Um,
Yeah.
we're talking millions and millions of people are going to hear about us and know about us. So that's very exciting for me.
Okay.
The marketing of the token itself, I mean, we're not selling a product. We, we are creating a brand and we are creating value. So,
Yeah.
that's really what we're trying to accomplish, is to show people that our token actually is backed by something tangible.
Yeah.
But we're not going to be promoting that for quite some time.
Okay. Got it. So I guess the whole focus is on the brand.
Correct.
That NASCAR situation is fantastic. There's so many people who've seen that, and I was lucky enough to see a quick glance of the design. So it looks amazing. I can tell for the people, it looks really, really cool. And hopefully in the next couple of months, I'll be there face to face and take some pictures and show the community. That would be really awesome especially
Yeah.
for users in Coinstore.
Yeah, that'll be very exciting to have you there.
Thank you so much. Okay, so security is an important segment for users today. So what is the security level of this project? How do you ensure the privacy, security, and investment of its users against hackers? What precautions do you take against any attack? I think you kind of briefly talked about some of that thing, but if you wanted to go in a bit detail, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the the token in and of itself is, I mean, I don't think it can be hacked. I mean, our our token was created. It's on the Ethereum network. It's an ERC20 token, and it was built really, really well. As far as exchanges are concerned and private wallets, I mean, private wallets are what they are, and they are generally unhackable. But if you lose your tokens, your Dignity Gold tokens, you have the ability to come to us and have them replaced. So, I mean, as far as security is concerned, it's just like, if you own IBM stock or Apple stock, and you have their certificate, which most people don't do anymore, but let's say you do. If you lose their certificate, you're not going to lose the stock. You're still going to be able to go to Apple. They have a record of who you are, and you'll get your shares back. It's very similar to what we have. So, it's definitely safer and secure for our holders.
Yeah, I think it's that's a very important point. I think especially in the world of blockchain, we don't seem to have things like this, and it's a great part of Dignity Gold. I think that's really, really good. So could you explain the process of converting gold reserves into a digital token like Dig AU? Like, what is that process? How do you connect the reserves against a token, and the whole side of things?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and the answer is science.
Okay.
So basically, we own the mines, and then we go about proving out what is there. So obviously, we got involved with mines that have history, and by that they have 43-101s that show what kind of assets they have on the property, where the veins of the assets are on the property, and an approximation of how many ounces of each type of material. So the last 43-101 that was done on most of these sites was about 3 years ago. And since we have taken over, we now are doing an incredible amount of science on our fully owned mines. So what we're doing is, we started out with satellite imaging, which shows, from a large scale where the veins are on the property of the precious metals. Once we had the approximations, we then go to sonar technology. And sonar is basically, they put sonar boxes all around the property where the satellite imaging told us, the metals were. And those boxes do whatever they do for, 7 to 10 days and tell us, how deep the veins run, how thick they are, and so on. And once that occurs, then we drill. And, we drill wherever it tells us that material is. And once, 20, 30, 40 holes are drilled, we send the material out to be assayed and proven up. Once they're proven up, we get a report from, it's sent to the mineralogist and the geologist, and they create the new 43-101, which tells us exactly where all the metals and materials are, and how deep they are, and how much we have, and shows the numbers. And I can tell you that the numbers are, astronomical. So it's really exciting that, we're about to, to start pulling that stuff out of the ground. And then, what the next part of the process is, how we create revenue from that and how we create value from that. So there are two ways. Number one is, as we get the gold out of the ground and turn it into, LBMA 9999, we put it in a vault and let it sit there, and it's backing the token. And we hope and expect the price of gold to continue to rise, especially with the U.S. national debt at 32 trillion. I mean, it's absurd to think that gold is ever going to go down.
Yeah.
Or we sell a portion of what we take out.
Okay.
So,
And then when you sell a portion, for example, that would affect the price of the token, right?
yeah, it should, because we're giving 15% of their profits to the token holders, and it's
That's
either going to be done in dividends or buybacks or a
yeah,
combination of both, airdrop,
yeah,
something along those lines.
amazing, amazing. I think that's the exciting part of being part of it for investors,
Right. And so now, one of the things that we're also, heavily involved in negotiation with is being our own streaming company. And what that basically is companies like hedge funds or jewelry companies or whatever that have a need for gold,
yeah,
want to lock in our product. So they do what's called a forward purchase agreement with us.
yeah,
So we get our revenue up front, which is tremendous for us, because it
amazing.
gives us enough capital to build our facilities and do our mining, and start making significant money.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
No, I'm confident. I'm confident. I think it's gonna be. It's one of the thing. I'm so glad that we're able to speak to you and find you, and be able to work with you on this project. I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities that's going to be coming through in the future. I got last question from one of the community members. I think this is kind of, you pretty much said the value on it, but 80% of the investors focus on token price in the short term instead of finding out the real value of a project. And this is what we've kind of really discovered, the real value of the project.
Right.
I think they really want to understand about the incentives and the benefits for investors, for token holders for a long period of the time. So I guess the dividend side of things is a great incentive for anyone to hold the token for a long time. But is there any other incentives that you want to plan in or you're working on for long-term holders?
Well, I mean, it's very simple from our perspective, because we're pledging right now a specific amount of gold to the token. So that's $6 billion worth of gold. And
Amazing.
there are only 3 billion tokens outstanding. So in theory, that gives us a book value of $2 per token. In stock market, in the equity markets, mining companies trade, as high as 12, 13 times book. So that would put our token, if we were to trade like a stock, it would put it at a significantly higher number than it is today.
Yeah.
So and that is just the beginning of what we're doing. I mean, we already have more gold in our 43-101s in the ground than has been pledged to the token so far. And you
gotta explain one thing. What is a 43-101?
A 43-101 is the actual report of all the science that shows everything that we've done to prove that there are real assets in them that are hills.
Just so that one understands what that is.
And all of our, the interesting part for our investors is once we finally file our registration statement, our Form 10 with the SEC to allow us to go public here in the United States. All of that documentation is going to be available for everybody to see. They're going to be able to see our 43-101s. They'll be able to see our audited financials. They'll see all those documents are in the filings that are public. So,
Yeah.
once that happens, everyone's going to know that what we are is a real asset-backed company. And, I mean, who knows? To me, the sky is the limit to what we can accomplish.
Yeah, I think that is how we say it in the world of the crypto world is you're fully doxed, and everyone can see all the information about every single person, and there is no hiding in anything, and that's sometimes it's a bit unique sometimes in the world of this in this scenario. So I think a lot of people will be very attracted to this, so they'll hopefully jump on your website and go through the information and analyze it for themselves. So I think that was the last question, but I think there was a good amount of information that you've brought out. Hopefully, the community absorbed as much as possible, and there might be more questions being sent out to you, probably via Twitter now. So look out for them. But I want to say thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's really late over in LA.
It's not so bad. It's 10 to 1. It's not a big. I've had later nights than this, I can tell you.
I'm sure.
But thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I think for my first AMA, I think it was pretty well. It was pretty good.
No, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. For my first AMA, I thought it went okay, other than the lag earlier on, but it went good. So thank you so much, Steve. I'll let you get some rest, and we'll catch up later. And thank you for everyone that was watching.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.